this video, we will look at how an organisation can change the clinical skills content available to its teams and to its individual accounts. You can make changes to the allocation of both guides and, if your organisation has the feature enabled, assessments. You will need to be signed in as a super user or manager to be able to make changes to content allocation. As a manager, you will only be able to make changes to content within the teams that you manage. First, we will look at how you can change the content allocation for whole teams. Click on the Team Management tile on your dashboard. You will now see a list of the teams set up in your organisation. Most organisations on clinical skills divide their individual accounts up into teams. These are often by speciality, physical location, cohort or role. This makes it much easier to target content appropriately. To see the content allocated to one team, hover over the Actions button on the right-hand side of the row for that team. A drop-down menu will appear, with the option to view the standard guide overview for that team, as well as standard and local assessment overviews. Standard assessments are those designed by Clinical Skills and available to many organisations. Local assessments are those built by an organisation and only available to those accounts within the organisation. Let's look at the allocation of guides for this team by clicking on Standard Guide Overview in the Actions button drop-down menu. This opens the Standard Guide Overview screen for this team. You will see the name of the team at the top of a column in the middle of the screen. On the left, you will see the title of one section of Clinical Skills Guides. This screen only displays one section at a time. To change which section of guides you are working with, click the drop-down menu here, select another section, then press Filter. Here we will look at the Adults section. Click the arrow here to open the section and see its categories. Click the arrow by the category title to see the guides in that category. You can see here a list of all the guides in that category. In the column under the team name, if there is a tick in a box on a row for a guide, it is available to the team. Click a box to remove that guide for that team. When you do this, you will now see that the box by the title of the category has changed to a dash. This means that only some of the guides in the category are available to the team because we've just turned one off. The same applies to the box for the whole section. Only some of the guides are now available. You can turn off an entire section or category of guides by clicking on the row with the section or category name. To turn a section, category or guide back on and make it available to the team, click the appropriate box so that it shows a tick. Once you have made all the changes to content allocation to the team for this section, scroll to the bottom of the screen and click Save. Do not navigate to another section of guides until you have saved the changes in this section. Enter details of the change you have made in the Description of Change box. This information will be available in the revision notes for this team, which we will look at later in this video. If you want the change to automatically affect everyone in the team, click the box Make changes to all accounts in the teams. Normally, you should tick this box. You can then also select to automatically email all members of the team with details of the change by clicking this box. Then click Submit Changes and confirm that you want to make the change by clicking OK in the pop-up warning box. You can then select another section to modify or click Teams in the breadcrumb trail to return to the team management screen. Content allocation for standard and local assessments works in the same way. Click the Standard Assessment Overview from the Actions button to alter the clinical skills assessments available to that team. Clinical skills standard assessments are linked to the guides that they are based on. So, for example, if you're looking for an assessment on diabetes, make sure that you have the Adults section selected, then expand the section to find the Diabetes Care category. You will then see the name of any assessment associated with the diabetes guides. Tick or untick the box under the team name to allocate it or remove it from the team. Then click Save and add a description of the change. Tick the box to make changes to all the accounts in the team and, if you want, select to email the account holders with details of the change. Then click Submit Changes and confirm that you want to make the change by clicking OK in the pop-up warning box. If you look at the local assessment overview for a team, you will see any assessments that your organisation has designed. If a local assessment has not been associated with a guide, it will appear at the bottom of the list on the Local Assessment Overview screen. Again, simply tick or untick the box by the name of the assessment to turn it on or off for the team, and then click Save. We have seen how you can look at and alter the content available to a single team. You can also see the content available to all your teams at the same time by using the Overview buttons on the Team Management page. If you click the Standard Guide Overview button, you will see all your teams in columns with the content available to them listed underneath. If you have more teams than will fit across the page, click Next to see more teams, or use the navigation buttons to move forward and backwards between pages. Click on the letters across the top of the screen to jump directly to teams starting with that letter. If you only want to look at certain teams, click the boxes by the team names and then the Compare button. This will remove all the other teams from view so that you can easily compare the content available to your selected teams. Click Restore to see all your teams again. Use this box to choose to show your teams in ascending or descending alphabetical order across the screen. Click Filter to apply your selection. Expand the section and categories to see what guides are available to each team. Tick the boxes to add or remove sections, categories or guides from individual teams. You can alter content for several teams at once using this screen. Click Assign All to make changes across all teams on the screen at once. Note, this will only make changes to the teams displayed on this screen. If you have more teams than will fit on the screen, and you want to use the Assign All function, you should save the changes on this page, then navigate to the pages showing your other teams and use Assign All again on those pages. Click Save on each page when you have completed your change. As before, add a description of the changes you have made and click the bottom boxes if appropriate. You can see the revision notes indicating all the changes that have been made by clicking on the team name. This is where you will see any text that was entered in the description of change boxes that we saw earlier. The Standard Assessment Overview and Local Assessment Overview buttons work in the same way, allowing you to see and change assessment content allocated to several teams at the same time. Note, if tick boxes are missing from a column for a team on the Assessment Overview screens, this is because the team does not have access to the guides related to those assessments. Assessments are only available to a team or individual if they have access to the guide that the assessment is based on. In the same way that you can manage the content available for individual teams, you can alter the content available to the individual accounts in a team. Let's look at the content available to the account holders in this team. To see all the account holders in this team, click the Manage button for that team. The number in brackets indicates how many accounts are in that team. Clicking this button will take you to the user management screen with the team you selected already in the team filter box. You can also get to this screen directly from your dashboard by selecting User Management, then filtering for your team. You will see a list of the account holders in that team. The individual standard guide and assessment features work in exactly the same way as for the team management page. You can look at the content for individual accounts through the Actions button for that account, and use the Overview buttons to look at several account holders at once and make changes. Note, the Overview buttons at the top of the screen will only appear if a team is selected in the User Management screen, as shown here. If the team does not have access to a guide or assessment, you will not be able to allocate it to any account within that team. You can only pick from the content available to the team as a whole. As for the Team Overview screen, if tick boxes are missing from a column for a user on the Assessment Overview screens for users, this is because they do not have access to the guides related to those assessments. You can also compare two or more individual accounts, the same as for teams, using the tick boxes at the top of the columns and the Compare button. For more information on the team and user management pages, see the videos and instructions in our help area covering these features. If you have any questions about the process of allocating content to your teams or individual accounts, or any other aspect of the Clinical Skills service, please email us on info@clinicalskills.net.